What is good, YouTube? I hope you guys are having a good one. First of all, before beginning, my biggest gratitude, appreciation for all my viewers that came and subscribed to the channel. So, if you guys noticed, I was in downtown Chicago. This was a little bit of an inspirational video to get the information out or the message out. There's more things to life than just, dating or trying to look for a specific female. A lot of us are not going to get a specific chance if we keep just thinking about how miserable we are, how hard we have it. I understand, blackpil is not a real. I would like to say it is real, but at the same time, what can go wrong? Okay, so first of all, you're born into this world. You're pretty much you grow up, you go to school, you get out of high school, depending on your luck. In some cases, it's like the worst luck. You get bullied, you get picked on, you get treated as a slog, something that's worthless. You don't get any girlfriends. No girls ever pay attention to you. And on top of that, if you're in my case, sometimes you get ridiculed by the teachers. Why? Because you're demonstrating that you're rebellious. So before getting to my story, I know blackpil. It's not something that is just unreal. It's a reality of life. It's a little bit of a wake up call to really make us realize that we've been lied to for a whole bunch of amount of time of our lives that we were going to get a specific lifestyle, and that's not the case at all. Unfortunately, life is very not consistent with luck. It's basically if you were born with good genetics or born with on this unfortunate genetics, there's nothing that we can really do about it. This is where I started to realize, in my case, what made me be so depressed, so hateful, or so resentment earlier of my life was being raised in a cult religion. I had to live this conservative slash goofy lifestyle that I was kind of already picked on for being already unique, for being different, or basically this religion differentiated me from the rest, and they thought I was just a goofy, nerdy slash low self-esteem individual. And on top of that, I got so depressed when I entered middle school. Middle school for me was not a particular intake for me. It was basically a very difficult time. As yes, I had crushes on women. I couldn't date any women because the religion prohibited. So if you guys are not aware, I was I kind of want to keep the religion anonymous because honestly, I don't want to get too much information away. But let's say it was just a Christian, cold, creationist religion, very low IQ, made people very dumb, made people very delusional, you name it. Until high school, I only had one girlfriend, but at the same time, it was one of the ugliest girls out of the school. She had very bad. She was basically a sub four Stacy. That I couldn't believe that I was. At the same time, it felt like a great impression that I wasn't that ugly, or maybe I was just overthinking myself that I was this worthless subhuman scum of the earth, because that's what I was led to believe. But what ended up really happening is I was just a number to her. This girl wanted me to date her just so she can prove that she can pull out men, even though she is considered one of the ugliest girls. And this was a sub force Becky slash horrible attitude, very bad skin. The only upside is she was in fit shape. She wasn't fat. She wasn't completely skinny, but she was like in mid, something that I can even consider my skinniest girlfriend of all time. So fast forward to high school. High school, nothing ever came. I became this delusional slash brainwashed Christian cultist because I was led to believe, or basically not led to believe. I was so disappointed with life that I used it as a coping mechanism. So I already knew it was more than zero chance that I was ever going to get a girlfriend or go out on a date because, first of all, living with strict conservative parents already strict my schedule, strict my abilities to go out on the weekends. On top of that, I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know how to look. I didn't know nothing about fashion, dress, how to look good. I was just particularly scrawny, Because in high school, I wasn't always overweight. Basically, I got overweight after high school. But basically, what ended up happening is my freshman, my sophomore, even in my midst of my junior years, I was pretty much fit. Like I used to participate hardcore in the gym class, even though I never learned how to play a sport. Because that was another brutal pill. Growing up as a religious kid, we were told not to take serious higher education, sports, or anything in particular. So as I was in high school, I tried hard. I always kept myself in shape, and also I was already depressed. I was already in the downside, and on top of that, having strict parents, I used just to remember coming home, doing my homework, or sometimes I would not even do it as I had no motivation, no desire to even strive for anything because I was already considered worthless. So, what was the point of me even trying hard? I would rather just spend my free time doing other useless stuff. So, after my junior year, I only attended technical school, which I did okay, but I was always a people pleaser. I did careers that my parents wanted me to do, not because I wanted to do them for myself, but anyway. So I started to gain a little bit of weight. I barely ever went out, never went to the gym, never did anything. Like in my middle school and high school, the only time of the gym that I ever had was the school gym. And that's what kind of kept me in shape, but at the same time, I didn't know how to participate. I didn't know how to really belong into that group. So I was always an outcast. I was always ridiculed because obviously, even though they thought I was just stupid or I wasn't really realizing their comments. I know what they were talking about. I just couldn't do nothing about it because I was led to believe that this was a test of me or Satan testing me that I was trying to be whether if I was a good Christian or not. So after high school, I got even more depressed. I started to work. I started to eat a lot of junk food because when I used to be in high school, I barely ever ate. You know, um, I just always ate sandwiches. I used to have a very horrible diet. Like I remember in high school, like I used to work for the family. Like I said, a lot of a couple uncles, my parents were entrepreneurs. They started the family business, so I wasn't rich or anything. I was just considered lucky or privileged, and I was using the money that I earned to buy the worst food out of the cafeteria. Like it was like called the salad bar. So obviously, I just got my cheesesteaks, my water, because I was never really a soft drinker. I was never particularly a fanatic of the soft drinks. I always liked water. I didn't have a horrible diet, but at the same time, I just stopped caring about myself. Like I remember, it was basically cheesesteaks, cookies, sometimes salads. Like it was balanced. So after high school, I just gave up. I went to college. I just started eating whatever. I started to make some female contact friends, but these were just college friends for study group. But at the same time, it was always after college, a little bit of studying time, in just go to McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, you name it, the fast food, the trashiest food they could ever eat. So how was my grades for look in high school and middle school? I did good in in history, sometimes in math, sometimes in science. I was never considered, I always consider myself not stupid. I'm not a genius, but I was considered a lot of people thought I was dumb or stupid just because I was raised very differently. I didn't show signs of intelligence or of a normie because I was always reserved, low self-esteem. But at the same time, I cannot add too much. Sometimes when you have very conservative parents, they kind of put a lot of the traumas, a little bit of low self-esteem, you name it. You can already imagine. And also, I had no desire to even strive for better. So in college, I did pretty great at the beginning, and I started to lose motivation once again because, like I said, I was a people pleaser. I was doing a career that benefited the religion, that was suitable for my parents. Until I started to reach a point where I was starting to get agitated. Like I gained, before the martial arts era. So basically, in the mid 2010s, before 2017, which is kind of hilarious. I was just this ordinary normie slash nerdy kid that played video games, that ate junk food, that went to work, worked his ass off, slaved himself for very little, and just hang out with the friends And there was times where I'm not gonna lie, there was a little bit of weed, but I'm not a particular fanatic of weed or any drugs. I don't even like drinking. But I was so like I don't know, like I was so dismotivated, like I didn't know what really happened. So in 2017, basically, what made me realize is there's religion was BS. I had to get out, which I ended up doing. I got out of it because obviously, if I was, and here's another thing, if I was considered very stupid or very low IQ, I would have stayed in that religion forever. But I ended up getting out, as in it started not to make sense at all. I left out. I felt a big relief. No more pressure. No more judgment. No more people asking me how to live my life. And the only thing I couldn't stop eating was junk food. Like I remembered, it was junk food. It was a little bit of soft drinks. And so, what made me really want to go to the gym, or what caused the motive for me to change my life? So, this is like a funny scenario. It was a Friday night. I was with one of my buddies, and we were, because he's like into, certain electronics. So he was up, installing something for my car. And one of my buddies said that he had nothing else to do that particular Friday, and he asked me if I had to do anything. I only had to do some errands, and they ended up helping me out. And we all agreed to go to the strip club. And here's the funny thing: I was supposed to be at a religious event on the Saturday morning, but I didn't care for it. That's when I end up, leaving the religion. And also another thing, this religion made a lot of people overweight. When I feel more comfortable, depending on the video, I might explain the religion, but right now I kind of want to keep it very anonymous. After that Friday, we went to the strip club. I saw the beauties. I started seeing how beautiful women really were, and thought I was missing out. And I just went to the restroom. I looked at myself. Obviously, the girls are going to start to notice you, but it's basically to get as much as catches out of you, which I know it's just a delusion. Looking at myself, I saw my face was fat. I had a kind of like a beer belly gut, not too bad. Just, a little overweight slash short guy. So that particular month passed by, and I didn't know. Like I started going to the gym. First of all, how I started. This is why I wanted to make this video. It's to show you how you can motivate yourself. Okay, so you have to really look at yourself at the mirror and really see what's lacking or what's making you look ugly. What I mean, not ugly. I mean unfit or whatever. Just be aware that when it comes to looks, there's not much that you can do. You have to ask for opinions and see what you can afford. That's best advice I can give you. It might not make an effect on you or not. So when I looked at myself and I noticed, okay, I need to lower the belly, get some muscle, but I didn't know how to do it because I had zero experience on weightlifting, cardio, or anything when it came to the gym. Uh, so I had a running treadmill and I had a bicycle. I did the bicycle, I did the treadmill, and it started to feel really good. And I kept doing it little by little. And I couldn't really see the results because I started in May of 2017 and I had to move on. And so basically it was mid July 4. I think it was in July. Yeah, after the 4th of July, I started to really as I was basically looking at myself and I noticed I need to do something else, but something that can really make me go, even though it's hardcore intense. And I was a fanatic of boxing, but there was no boxing at the time in my area, so I ended up finding an MMA gym, and I joined in. First day was brutal. I had no condition. I felt like I was out of, an outcast. I felt like I didn't belong in that particular group. And besides the sparring, I got my ass kicked, but at the same time, little by little, the first day it felt good. You sweat, you feel good, you feel like you're improving. And that's how I started to really improve. I kept going. It took me a little bit of time to get the nervous, you know, I used to get nervous sparring because obviously I didn't want to get hurt. I didn't want to feel the pain, but it takes little by little. And I started liking it. So it was already like mid September, and yeah, because actually not August, excuse me, in August, because basically after the 4th of July, I started doing the MMA. I registered, I paid it because I want to continue. Um, about 2 weeks, basically it was August. I started the 3 mile run or 5 mile. I don't remember. Like I don't remember exactly. Probably 6 or 5. But I remember I was getting the condition. I felt really good, and that's how it all started. I did MMA for 2 years, full MMA combat, and I went from 190 to 155, and I felt pretty good. So what was the downside of that? Waking up for the religion, knowing it was fake. It was already like basically around the pandemic time. Everything closed down. I couldn't go to go to the gym to practice because obviously that's when the world shut down. And on top of that, I did a few mistakes. I went out to bars because I was trying to meet women. I did a little bit of traveling, and just in general, the pandemic kind of put me back downside, and I started to eat junk again until 2021. I noticed how I end up gaining weight, and even worse because obviously I went from all the way back to 190. But I decided not to give up because that's basically what makes people go from good to worse and even worse is, just giving up. So I started doing weightlifting. I went to some powerlifting, CrossFit. I like CrossFit. CrossFit helped me lose a lot of weight. So I did CrossFit. I did Muay Thai. I did boxing combined, and I did dancing, and that's how I ended up being, fit again. It took me time. It took me 3 years until the present time, as we're speaking now, where I'm starting to be in shape. So basically, why am I sharing this story? I know nobody cares. Nobody really gives a crap because I'm just a nobody in the world. First of all, I'm not saying that you're gonna get girls. I'm not saying you're gonna get the best life. Like I said, I am Mgtow. I am more Mgtow more than ever. The reason I wanted to make this video is giving you guys more of a look why I kept striving for better. I don't care to have a physique for women. I do it to look better for myself, to get a better impression, because when you're in the corporate world, when you have a business, whatever, people look at your appearance. Not just because you groom or anything, but just by having a good physique, even though you don't have the best genetics or the best face, good looking face, or whatever the chances are of your genetics. I mean, chances is, nobody knows their true potential because obviously we all have horrible diets. But if you look smacks, if work out for yourself, for your own love of your body, of your spirit, of your mind, and if you do it just for you, people kind of give you a little bit more respect because it is a world where it's unfair. Everything is based on genetics, looks, physique, then, the IQ. And so that's why I keep doing it until today. Yes, I have some backtracks. There's times where I drink or party, but I don't do it often. You have to have that discipline. Second of all, did I do it for women because I wanted to look good? Not really. Ever since the pandemic, I already knew that I had a little bit of a problem. Maybe I might not look quite hideous because I don't think I'm a hideous guy, but I'm not a Chad. I'm just a normie with specific potential features. It's just there's one problem. If you don't have a specific height, it's kind of going to affect you until your 30s. Once you're in your 30s, unfortunately, women don't care about height anymore. But at the same time, they're single moms or troublemakers or mentally ill. Even like the Stacy's that you might get on these dating apps, they might be mentally ill Stacy's or drug addict Stacy's. So you have to really do this because that's what you want. You love to work out for your health, for your mind, for your spirit. Not much because you want to show off to anybody. So once you take women off your mind. You do it for your own benefits. You're going to see a total different world. You're going to realize, wow, I haven't aged. I don't look completely gross out. I don't look completely undesirable. Even though I don't have the best looking face, but you look at yourself, okay, at least I'm going to have a little bit of respect from people from my work or from a corporate, depending on whatever it is you do. Or maybe you're looking for a job. Just by demonstrating the boss or the guy that hires you, if he sees you have your well groomed, you have a good physique, maybe not to be gay or anything, but if he looks like you work out, you do a lot of stuff, it gives you a message that you're a disciplined guy. You're willing to do whatever it takes to get to point A to point Z. So the reason I kind of made this video and repetitive from the other one from the martial arts, it's basically you really have to look at yourself. You have to hit rock bottom to get to a specific goal. For me, my goals is just keep a healthy body, not age, and be able to walk when I'm very old. This is why I do yoga. This is why I do dancing. And this is why I'm working for my future retirement. I want to retire somewhere where I can enjoy life, where I know that I'm not going to be stressed out. I'm not going to be enslaved. So this is why I work again. I always work. But I work with more enthusiasts. I do more quality work. I don't care for money for the weekends. I only care for my future retirement. One of the reasons this is an inspiration for me is once you learn more about this lifestyle of Mgtow, you really realize I don't really need a woman. I just need myself. I need to learn how to love myself. I need to re-enjoy, or not relive, but learn how to enjoy life in a different way. Because we're all stuck in this Disneyland slash fairy tale that we need a family, we need kids. I'm not saying none of those are bad. I wish I could, but in reality, there's not a good opportunity for some of us. We just are not lucky enough. So this video, yeah, I just made it because I felt so motivated in Chicago because this year I dedicated to studying, which I'll make another video about that. If you want to improve your IQ or just do something for yourself. But that's another video. When I was in Chicago, I felt without gratitude. I felt like I did something correctly, something not ordinary from others. When I broke up with my ex, I learned a lot of knowledge on how to save money and how to really contribute not just for myself but for the family business to get a little bit of a higher paying raise. And on top of that, I got to experience different activities, different life adventures. When I was in Chicago, I did, first time I went to a baseball game, which is not cheap at all. Got to eat in a specific uh, nice restaurant. Was able to go unexpectedly. Because this year, unexpectedly, I was able to go to Texas. I was able to go to Mexico. I was able to go to Chicago. When I was with my ex, I could not do any of those because I was in deep debt after making horrible financial decisions because obviously I was blind by love. I thought I loved her or that I liked her. In reality, it was just hormones and not thinking clearer. Now that I decided to be more disciplined, I saw the results. They were in a positive way, not how I wanted it. Because obviously you are expecting a little bit more of a rewarding consequences, but at the same time, it's a positive reinforcement to really keep improving. So hopefully you guys like the video. I know it's just a particular normie slash Mgtow inspirational. I'm not an inspirational coach. This is why I'm not a professional. I do believe that at times I do sound very dumb or very low IQ, but I'll keep improving. This is why I read. This is why I improve my vocabulary. Hopefully I can be more articulate in the future. I know that I'm just starting. Don't get me wrong, this takes a lot of courage for me to speak on this on the platform of YouTube. Obviously YouTube, a lot of people can hear you out and sharing your story of middle school and high school is not particularly fun. You have to remember those difficult memories, but those memories or those like hardcore criticism allow me to become something better, allow me to do or improve, not because I want to prove someone wrong, but I just want to do what's right for me. And maybe sometimes you need those criticisms to really make you realize that you're doing something wrong or the way you act is what makes you very unlikable. So that's pretty much what I have for today. An update for the future of the channel. I am still going to be doing some blackpil content or blackpil themes. It's just going to be a little bit more complicated as the other channel that got removed. It was based on the blackpil, but unfortunately, it got removed because it was considered a hate speech. So the future reference of this, or the future update of this channel is traveling, more Mgtow, or more videos to give you guys some advice on how to improve your lives. I know I'm not a motivational speaker. I am underqualified to even give you some advice, but after I finish this course of becoming a certified nutritionist trainer, I hope I can really do something more for you guys. It's an appreciation and a gratitude. I do really feel excited or feel quite content that someone is listening to me, and hopefully you guys like it, but if not, understandable. So you guys have a lovely weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay spiritual, and peace out.